Somewhere, Eqqo was dreaming, and the stars, who are the daughters of the night, knew it. From up here we see everything, they said. Weave the bond that unites us, and we'll lead you to your son. Trying to stay my trembling hand, I drew the path that was to lead me to Eqqo. I hadn't seen him. It was my face. Eqqo was dreaming of me at this very moment. My son, my love. One star was enough, and your story would start. So this was where my son was, imprisoned, quietly sleeping in a cage. It wasn't the starting point I was expecting, but it was time for him to wake up. Who could have trapped him? Despite the shock, Eqqo was still imprisoned. A big rock was blocking his path. As the teller of this story, I had some small power over this world. The power to help Eqqo when I could. A rolling stone gathers no moss, but it easily catches bumps. This was only the beginning of Eqqo's troubles and of the difficult path that was going to make him a new being. That star had invited itself into my story. So much the better. It would most likely have a role to play in it. One of Eqqo's first challenges was a bridge. A bridge that had abandoned its purpose ages ago. The star, at least, seemed to know where it was going. And Eqqo only had ears for it. Whoops! This field held more surprises than the small streets of our village. The valley had put on her finest spring garments, but Eqqo only seemed to care for the star. Where was it taking him? In the fresco, a pilgrim placed their hand into the sculpture's mouth, a trial of trust. Eqqo found a mechanism in the mouth of Talak, the stone head. Beyond this stream began the sacred lands. Only pilgrims had the right to enter, but the star didn't seem to care. This is how, 1 century later, a freshly hatched pilgrim was about to tread upon the sacred ground. Feeling the beaten-down grass against his legs, Eqqo understood that something had made us stop here before moving on. Something big. My son approached the temple with confidence. He loved the old stones that told many stories under his fingers. Despite all those good meals I'd cooked for him, my son wasn't heavy enough to weigh down the slab. This stone block seemed perfect. The door opened on a sound only Eqqo could hear. The star was waiting for Eqqo to step out, but this door wouldn't open by itself. Eqqo was finally free. Something important was to happen. It was there, so close. The breath that resonated in the valley. What the star had wanted him to see. It was an Amlak-e-Bab, a snake god, a star harvester, a life carrier. The one from the legends I had told my son so many times. And this god was dying, pierced by the spear of a man. Calmed by the child's presence, the snake let itself go. This was the first time Eqqo witnessed serpent gods traveled the universe, harvesting with their scales the memory of the sky. From this memory, an egg was born. They then came to the sacred lands to lay the egg, called Enkalau. It was a gift of life, and my son was holding it in his arms. The egg of a god. An egg god. What a burden for such a young child. What to do now? Which way to go? The egg seemed to have an idea, but it needed a support to express it. The Ankara was allowing my son to gather a bit more weight in this world. One only had 4 senses. The other seemed ready to break at any moment. But their fragility was now shared. And there it stood, just like in the scriptures, just like in Eqqo's dreams, the temple of Isa, the gigantic home of the Amlak Ebab, the serpent god, who would never return there. Bells. It was a melody. The temple had reacted. It too was sensitive to music. It had already been a long way for Eqqo. The temple obeyed the egg, which it knew well. Eqqo wondered if he would ever see it again. Wait, thought Eqqo, shaking. What's in there? A hero, said a voice. And it's you. You are who I need. Don't be afraid, thought Eqqo. You're a big boy now. The egg hadn't reappeared, but Eqqo still felt its presence. Where had it gone to? One of these columns was trying to look more solid than it actually was. Mechanisms woke up after a very long sleep. The egg was there, safe and sound. It could have broken so easily. When placing the egg, Eqqo realized that a legend carried a significant weight. Since the disappearance of the star, something else was guiding Eqqo, pushing him forward. Was it the egg itself? Was it conscious? What a weird pilgrim thought. It was better, sometimes, to be shaped like a blade of grass than an egg. You're pretty heavy, thought Eqqo. And the egg answered, that's not very nice. Eqqo was stunned. You're talking? Of course I'm not, I'm an egg. But I am thinking. Eqqo realized that thanks to the egg, he wasn't alone. And despite its weight in his arms, that made him feel lighter. A thousand echoes resounded in the boy's ears. The temple is immense, he thought. And we need to get to the end of it, added the egg. Something important had just opened, but Eqqo couldn't reach it. Another trap. The lever to open it had to be somewhere here. These things came from the nest. They flew away from Eqqo like shadows in front of the sun, so he named them shadows. The shadows were attracted by the egg. Maybe, were they hungry? disappeared, but the shadows were coming for the Enkalal. "Could someone please throw something at them?" asked the egg. The trackers who had killed the serpent god, were they still here, raiding the temple? The egg told Eqqo, "These frescoes tell of the coming of a leader whose voice was as strong as 100 bells." In the fresco, villagers were looking fearfully at a dark figure dominating them. "A dark god," said the Enkalal. The raiders had thrown their spears at one particular wall. The egg and the child had just revealed another mystery of the Temple of Isa. That symbol on the ground. Eqqo had already passed one like it, outside, in the sacred lands. Eqqo recognized the sound of the shadow's steps. "Don't let them take me," said the Enkalal. "It would be the end of everything." "These frescoes show the dark god's feast," said the Enkalal. "His appetite is infinite. He can devour the world." What we see often hides what we need to see. A useful symbol was hidden here. "Be very careful," I prayed at that moment, far from there, sensing the shadows gathering around my child. I felt a bit lonely with these shadows around, said the egg when Eqqo came back to pick it up. So, thank you for coming back. There's nobody here? Asked Eqqo. The monks abandoned the temple after a great misfortune, replied the egg. Then the valley's inhabitants forgot it ever existed. The Amlak Ebab, my father, sadly thought the Enkalal. His golden seal will show us the way. Another set of stairs presented itself to the pilgrim. You speak well for an egg, suddenly realized Eqqo. Aren't you supposed to be a baby? It's because I'm filled with wisdom, said the egg, adding, you're the baby. A door had just opened on a now familiar stone face. Far above Eqqo, a flagstone had just slid open. Eqqo was climbing up. This made a lot of steps, and a great void below his feet. Inspired by the Enkalal, my son was moving forward, carrying in his arms the future of the world, walking away from childhood. Far from there, his mother was wiping her tears. These stairs show the way of Kath, said the Enkalal. The thread leads the pilgrim to the sky, but it's a thread scattered with knots. Here's one ahead. This fresco, It seemed to announce something terrible, and yet the order of the skulls seemed to have a meaning. The 3 wheels represented cycles. The pilgrim had to align them in the right order to pass. I was confused. The lock was tangling the thread of my story. The knot in the thread came undone. I watched my son resume the story. I remembered Eqqo's birth had changed my vision of the world. He incarnated the kindness of the stars. He inspired me. Here was the prison. The monks had dedicated their lives to protecting the temple. To punish those who threatened it was part of their mission. "Who does that breath belong to?" asked Eqqo. "To a sleeper who must remain asleep," replied the egg. That I told you to always be careful. The man was trying to grasp the Enkalao as if he had just dreamt of it. He was about to seize it. I had to act quickly. This unexpected consequence had just saved the Enkalao. The Enkalao said to the child, "We need to go quickly. The bell ringer is going to wake up, and he is here for me. He's the one who killed my father, the serpent god." Eqqo had never heard of such evil. He and the egg were now running away from a common adversary. For the first time, a threat was hanging over Eqqo's life. On him depended the egg's future. On them both depended everything. Feeling the child's distress, the Enkalal said, "Your mother may seem far away, but she loves you and she's proud of you. Our journey is vital. You must keep your courage." A starry sky. My son was sleeping. The stars were keeping watch over him. disturb his dream. Dreaming of a doe. It was his favorite animal. Mine too. Eqqo was sleeping, and I was only realizing it now. I had created this story to be by his side again, but every story has an end, and that end would take him away from me again. Oops. Eqqo was sleeping like a stone. He was sleeping the sleep of a child who dreams he's dreaming. The truth was that I no longer had a hold on him. In our valleys, does were maternal divinities. As mothers, we could help each other. Eqqo woke up, once again far from his bed and his mother, but a bit older too. Eqqo was astounded by the size of the temple. Built by the architects of the era of Abat, our father's fathers, Issa had indeed no equal. But its wonders didn't only attract pilgrims. Eqqo had never felt the floor rise like this under his feet. Am I flying? He thought. Little man, you'll fly the day eggs can talk, said the egg. The temple was like a gigantic clockwork, which came back to life with each activated mechanism. I'm not afraid of the void, thought Eqqo, trying to get a grip on the egg with trembling hands. Had such a young child ever climbed so high? No child has ever climbed so high, said the Enkalal. The stars are watching you climbing up to them. Eqqo was discovering he had vertigo. The Enkalal, which wanted to reassure him, said not without pride, "By rising up, you're getting closer to the kingdom of my father. This is a great privilege." "I'm honored," replied Eqqo. "Can we go down now?" We're still climbing up, thought Eqqo. Just think about the valley, beautiful and all flat, said Eqqo to himself. Think about the grass, the earth, and, oh, Mommy's cake. Why doesn't the temple let you through if you're so important? Eqqo asked the egg. Because I'm not supposed to go in. I'm supposed to be its jewel. A bit pretentious, thought Eqqo. Eqqo was feeling lost. He had thought too much about the home he had left, about his mother. Hadn't she tried to warn him? To tell him not to go too far away from home? The shadows were stubborn. It would only take one distraction for them to steal the Inkalal, and with it, our valley's future. My memory was getting confused. Had my son ever been afraid of heights? Or had I given it to him because I just wanted to be there for him? All this emptiness, it could hold my village and more, said Eqqo. This void is much fuller than you think, replied the egg, which made Eqqo think for a long time. This tube was the exact same size as the egg. A coincidence? Eqqo listened carefully to follow the egg's route, but he lost its trace. Where had it gone? One thing was sure. The egg couldn't have landed in a worse place. Eqqo was in a hurry. He really didn't want to meet the bell ringer again. That sound. More tubes. More and more tubes. Did they really exist only to make an egg travel? Delicately carried by the temple, the egg had been spit out, safe and sound. A metallic sound. Something had just opened. Eqqo could be proud of himself. The egg was safe and sound. Yet a tad queasy, said the shaken egg. That was weird, thought Eqqo when he came out. Actually, this was the weirdest temple he had ever visited. "You're not dead," Eqqo said, delighted to find the egg. "Of course not," said the egg. "I'm not even born." It all went well, but Eqqo was still thinking that all these tubes were not very healthy for an egg. "This big door you're about to see," said the Enkalal. "Behind it is the incubator. one of the temple's most sacred rooms. The monks mastered the operating of these tubes, but Eqqo could only observe and think. The Enkalal passed the last mechanism. The door was waiting for Eqqo, alone and worried. But this story was running its own course, and I couldn't do anything for him. The boy was terrified. The bell ringer lifted his head towards him. A child. Maybe this will fill the emptiness in me. But there was even more appetizing. A young, fresh Enkalal, full of wonders from the sky. Soon the bell ringer would grab the Enkalal. Soon he would devour it, and everything would be lost. The bell ringer fell to his death. The bell ringer won. In a few seconds, the abyss of his existence would be filled. How do you feel? Asked Eqqo. Like a meal, said the egg. How about you? I killed a monster, who was maybe a man, Eqqo said sadly. Isa opened another of its gates. Despite how valuable the Enkalal was, it too had to merit access to the heart of the temple. Where was the egg? Did this mountain have an end? Would he ever see his mother and his village again? Uncertainty was part of Eqqo's new life. A life I was writing for him. The bell ringer. He had followed the egg. Eqqo had to hurry. Despite his hurry, the monster was luckily able to still feel pain. You could have run away from the monster, but you came, said the egg. There's indeed a pilgrim in you.